So I was on Discord the other day and someone sent me a very interesting iceberg meme. If you've seen videos like the existential iceberg or the philosophical iceberg, it's basically that, but the manosphere version. All the ideas we've seen from red pill, pickup artistry, black pill, self-improvement are all present in this iceberg, and the deeper you go, the crazier it gets. So I decided to modify this iceberg myself because there's a lot of useless fluff and let's just say questionable things I can't really talk about on YouTube. So anyways, let's take a journey deep inside the rabbit hole and see how far it goes. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up with all content that I post in the future, and check out my ebook Esoteric Attraction, link is in the description. This tier is so high that we haven't even reached the tip of the iceberg yet. This part is basically normiehood in a nutshell, just having the most blue-pilled, sugar-coated, watered-down takes in the entire world. It's this narrative that not only is everything in your dating life within your control, but it's not even hard. It's effortless. It's as simple as getting a haircut or just smile, bro.
Smile. Though your heart is aching. Smile. Even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
The only people who can get away with believing this tier are women because all they need to do is exist for the most part. Like being a guy and believing this is all it comes down to is like navigating your entire life with blinders on. But in some way, I kinda envy the guys in this tier because ignorance is bliss, am I right? Alright, let's get into the concepts. Personality. So this is the naive belief that personality is the main or only condition that women care about when choosing a partner. It's just a complete refusal to acknowledge things like looks, money, and status. The people in this tier don't even account for anything else. It's almost like they think women are biologically attracted to personality in the visceral sense of the word. And we're not even talking about personality in the sense of game, confidence, charisma. These are deeper in the iceberg. We're talking about mundane things like what your favorite ice cream flavor is, your moral compass, your intelligence, how many things you have in common, how nice you are. This is the most blue pill Disney take you can possibly have, and honestly, I don't blame most guys, especially young guys, for believing this when women, the media, and society at large try to paint the narrative that this is how the world works. Smiling. The idea that smiling helps with attraction. Not much to say here. Clothes. So I guess you haven't gone too deep down the fashion rabbit hole, but you understand the importance of looking presentable and wearing clothes as opposed to being naked, I guess. Touching grass. The idea that the root of all your problems stem from being chronically online and staying home all day and that you would benefit greatly from leaving your basement. Now, while this is all in the Normie deluxe tier, it's actually great advice for a lot of people. Of course, it's basic and you hear just go outside, bro, from pretty much every midwit online these days, but that's because it's true. You're not going to meet women or have any dating opportunities if they physically cannot see you. You can't sell a product that no one can see, no matter how good the product is. But with dating apps and people meeting online being at an all-time high, going outside is hardly the prerequisite it once was, especially for women. And let's be real, if touching grass really worked as well as people act like it does, then the manosphere wouldn't even exist. The manosphere exists because people touched grass and then failed. When normies say just touch grass, they conveniently don't tell you that you actually have to be attractive and socially calibrated while touching it. Unconditional love. This is what the entire blue pill ideology hinges on, the idea that you can be loved for who you are without any conditions. You don't have to earn it, you don't have to compete for it, you don't even have to beat the game of nature. You are loved for simply existing. This worldview falls apart very quickly when you realize that you are not loved by anyone except your mother and dog if you don't provide any value to the world. Love in the romantic context is very much conditional and very much amoral and competitive. Haircut. The idea that the solution to all your dating problems is getting a haircut. But of course, unless you have hair like this, a haircut is not going to magically transform your dating life. At best, it'll make you look a little better with the added confidence you get after leaving the barbershop. Hygiene. The idea that taking a shower will spawn women in your bedroom. Being nice. The belief that being nice is enough to attract women. Everyone starts off believing this in some capacity because of false programming, but they realize that being nice in a vacuum does virtually nothing and can actually degrade your value. The world isn't fair, and being a nice or good person does not guarantee that you will be rewarded with love and loyalty. She's just busy. This is when you think she's actually busy and not getting her back blown out by some other dude when she tells you she's busy. You just believe everything she says or internally cope with excuses as to why she's flaking. It's too hard to accept that she's not in fact busy, she's just busy for you. Attachment styles. The belief that childhood upbringing and trauma shapes the way people interact in relationships. In my opinion, attachment styles are just cope dressed up as psychology. It tries to give lesser importance to whether she's attracted to you and more importance to her trauma or something. Like, I'm not denying that secure, anxious, and avoidant attachment styles exist, but I think attraction overrides her attachment style. Like, if you put the most avoidant girl's celebrity crush in front of her, you really think she'll still be an avoidant? I personally have my doubts. Shaving. The idea that shaving will spawn women in your bedroom. Love languages. If I find out whether she prefers gifts, touch, or quality time, I will have a competitive edge over my more attractive competition. Of course, it doesn't actually work that way in practice. This is the logical next step when being a normie doesn't work. I mean, you're kind of still a normie here, but at least you've reached the tip of the iceberg. I would argue most guys are actually here. People in this tier realize that the Disney worldview is flawed and believe that one must work hard on themselves to improve so they can get the things they want in life. Pretty much everyone on earth knows about the concepts in this tier, but when you discover them as a teenager, you think you struck gold and that you discovered something no one else did. Like, oh my god, bro, I can actually go to the gym and build muscle. I must gatekeep this information and not tell a single soul. But yeah, let's get into the concepts. Gym. Over the past decade, gym culture has blown up because of things like TikTok and fitness influencers. Pretty much everyone in Gen Z and their mother goes to the gym these days, so this is really the tip of the iceberg. Going to the gym is great for confidence, for aesthetics, strength, and health, but the deeper you go down the iceberg, the more you realize that the gym doesn't really play as much of a role in dating specifically as much as people in this tier think it does. Losing weight. The idea that being overweight makes you less attractive and that everyone who doesn't have at least semi-visible abs ought to lose some weight. This is pretty much universally agreed upon by all the tiers, no matter how deep you go down the iceberg. It's a no-brainer that losing weight if you're fat is a game changer. Improve! The idea that you're a one cold shower or gym session away from being a chick magnet. People in this tier generally think that if one is to clench his fist hard enough and make a constipated facial expression while affirming the word, "I'm improving, bro," they'll actually pull more women. Now, this is obviously a laughable idea to the people in the tiers below, especially the black pillars, but when we reach the deepest tier, you might realize that maybe these guys aren't crazy, but you're the one who's crazy for thinking they are. Journaling. If I journal long enough, maybe women will find me attractive. In all seriousness though, journaling is a great habit for your mental health, your creativity, and understanding your own thoughts, but it probably won't do much for your dating life. Still highly recommend though. Cologne. The idea that your scent is crucial to how women perceive you and plays a huge role in your attractiveness as a man. The cologne you choose to wear can either make or break her interest. Cold showers. The idea here is that taking cold showers makes you more disciplined because you're doing something that's hard, which will compound and spill over into other areas of life. It kind of falls into "I'm improving." Unfortunately, the people deeper down the iceberg think cold showers are a laughable cope. Motivational speakers. This is where you're so into self-improvement that you start watching videos of guys like David Goggins and Jocko Willink before going to the gym. Morning routines. Guys who are obsessed with competing over who can wake up the earliest and grind the hardest. Morning routines are modern meat measuring contests to see who can pretend to be the most locked in. Don't get me wrong, routines are great and are necessary for success, but these guys take it to a schizo level, man. Like, oh bro, wake up at 2 a.m. and meditate for 6 hours. Like, dude, come on, man. Alpha M. Fashion / self-improvement YouTuber with the most basic advice in all of existence. If you watch him unironically, you're definitely in this tier. Teaching men's fashion. You're still in this tier. Discipline versus motivation. You think you finally figured the equation of life out by saying something along the lines of, don't rely on motivation, bro. Discipline is what you actually need. Body language. Yeah, we get it. Body language matters. Next. Eye contact. Yeah, we get it. Eye contact matters. Next. Posture. Good posture is in fact better than bad posture. Next. Clean your room. The idea that cleaning your room will change your life. This concept was popularized by Jordan Peterson, who can't even answer a question these days without resorting to a bunch of semantics.
What do you believe in God? And I think, okay, there's a couple of mysteries in that question. What do you mean do? What do you mean you? What do you mean believe? And what do you mean God?
Confidence. The classic, just be confident, bro, without actually being able to define confidence.
Look, man, it's not about looks, it's about confidence. Just be yourself, own it, and they'll notice.
I hear you, but it's not that easy.
Muscles. Thinking muscles matter way more than they actually do. This tier is where you officially enter the manosphere and really start dipping your toes in the water. You've realized by this point that perhaps you can't journal and cold shower your way into her pants, and that maybe there's more to women and their nature than you were led to believe your entire life. So you find guys like the bald dude, whose name I can't say on YouTube, Fresh and Fit, Rollo Tomasi, and familiarize yourself with the red pill. Red pill. A metaphor that originates from the Matrix but is used in the manosphere to represent waking up to the raw, hard truth about female nature, gender dynamics, and the hierarchy of life as a man. This is where you finally start to understand the game of life without all the fluff. Status. This is how high up the social ladder you are. It's the belief that women are hardwired to be attracted to status and where a man is in the socioeconomic hierarchy. The higher up you are, the more power you have, the more women want you. This comes from the observation that men who are famous, or at the very least well known and respected in their community, often have an easier dating life than men who aren't. Money. The belief that how much money you make matters when it comes to your perceived value to women. This comes down to the idea that a man who is a capable provider is a crucial aspect of a woman's mate selection. And of course, you need money to provide. Some people who believe this even take it to the extreme and say that all women care about is money and nothing else. Grind. This is self-improvement on steroids. This is where people talk about fully locking in your grind and renouncing women, usually to make more money so they can beta bucks for them in the future. It comes down to social media detoxes, going on monk mode, getting rid of all vices, and fully dedicating yourself to grinding. This meme basically summarizes the entire grind movement. Must always have a job, have friends and be sociable, be really good at something, be at least somewhat muscular, constantly approach women, don't be meaningfully shy ever, no noticeable disabilities, have sexual experience, have relationship experience, have a low body fat percentage, have the intelligence to succeed in life but don't actually be a nerd, don't have bad skin, be able to provide for kids regardless if she says she wants any, have your own home/apartment, have a car and drive it, have more income potential than her, be older than her, be taller than her, have more educational experience than her, be willing to give up time and energy to chase, exist. The halo effect. Yeah, good-looking people get treated better and have more opportunities in life. This is where you start dipping your toes into the looks may actually matter more than I thought they did. SMV. This stands for sexual market value, and it means how attractive you are to members of the opposite sex in the dating market. High value man. Wear suits, buy $20,000 watches regularly, pull up everywhere in Lambos, act like your time is more valuable than it actually is. Congratulations, you're a high value man. Hypergamy. The tendency of women to date up physically and socioeconomically. This is a problem when 20% of men are being chosen while the remaining 80% are practically invisible and fighting for scraps. Alpha. Having high testosterone and treating women like objects. Beta. Having low testosterone and treating women like goddesses. Sigma. Thinking you're mysterious, misunderstood, and have a complex storyline when you probably stay home and goon all day. Hamza. One of the figureheads of red pill self-improvement. Female nature. Yeah, so you probably realize by now that a woman's love is in fact conditional, and pretty much everything about them is backwards to what you thought when you were 13. Purpose. The idea that having a purpose in life greater than yourself is crucial to your fulfillment, well-being, and spiritual growth. Masculinity. The definition of masculinity really depends on who you're asking. When I think of the word, I picture a lumberjack with big arms and a rugged beard chopping away at a tree, but I also intuitively know that's not what masculinity really is. Some say it's being the active principle, some say it's being bold and courageous, and some say it's all of the above. One thing is clear, which is the lack of masculine men and the abundance of feminine men in the modern world. NoFap. A movement of men committed to not jerking off. An absolute goldmine and game changer to the people in this tier, a cope to the people in the depths of the iceberg. Stoicism. Prioritizing rational thinking over emotion and not letting things outside your control dictate your mental state. Conditional love. Yeah, sorry to burst your bubble if you haven't reached this part of the iceberg yet, but women, and men but less so, do in fact love conditionally. If red pill is dipping your toes in the water, pickup artistry is submerging your entire body in the water. At this point, you realize that no matter how much self-improvement you do and how much money you make, women still aren't falling in your lap. So you discover the art of pickup, which involves going outside, being social, and approaching women using certain tactics to demonstrate your value. Think of it like a practical application of the red pill. Pickup is about actually using the theory to get real results instead of just soaking in knowledge and doing nothing with it like most red pillars do. PUA. PUA stands for pickup artist and is a term used to describe one who practices the art of seduction and picking up women. Cold approach. Approaching a woman that you don't know or have any mutual connection with, usually done randomly in a public environment. Used to be very popular back in the day, but with the death of the pickup artist movement, more men are scared to approach women than ever and rely solely on meeting women through dating apps or mutual connections. Frame. Controlling the dynamic of the interaction and taking the lead instead of her. Negging. Insulting her or giving her a backhanded compliment to lower her comparative value and establish yourself as the one who is more attractive and has higher value. It's basically making her insecure on purpose. Sets. A term used by pickup artists to describe a group of women. RSD. A company founded in 2002 called Real Social Dynamics, intended to help men master the art of pickup and social skills. Some OG pickup artists like Owen Cook, Julian Blanc, and Todd V were all a part of RSD. The company got cancelled and no longer exists as far as I'm aware. Mystery. The father of all pickup artists. Game. The belief that social skills, charisma, confidence, and what you say is a crucial factor to attracting women. And in this day and age, with a bunch of looks maxers who can't talk to girls, I actually think we need to bring back game. Pre-selection. Women want who other women want. DHVs. Stands for demonstration of higher value. Pretty much this is when you demonstrate things about yourself that hit a woman's evolutionary attraction triggers while you're interacting with her, such as pre-selection, confident body language, peacocking, being respected by other men, etc. A woman can't tell a man's inherent value unless he demonstrates it in real time while speaking to her. She can't tell that you're an attractive millionaire with status unless she sees something, of course other than your looks, that shows that you actually are one. Validation. Women inherently crave your validation and attention, and there's a lot of power in withholding these things and sometimes even weaponizing them. Choosing signals. Also known as indicators of interest, these are signs women give you that they like you without explicitly telling you they like you. Things like playing with their hair, breaking the touch barrier, and laughing at your unfunny jokes. Text game. The art of texting a woman correctly in order to eventually meet up. Flake. When she cancels, ghosts, or doesn't show up. Pickup artists are hyper aware of flakes and employ measures to minimize them. Hashtag #MeToo. The movement that eventually cancelled pickup artistry and ruined it for good. Making her chase. The art of flipping the dynamic to make her chase instead of chasing yourself. Manipulation. The art of infiltrating the depths of her psyche and making her do things and love you in ways that the guys at the top of the iceberg will never be able to do or experience. Escalation. The art of going from not touching her to touching her. This is where we slowly start leaving red pill territory and going into the darkness. I highly recommend you stop at any one of the above tiers if it's not already too late for you, because not everyone can handle the burden of going deeper. And honestly, not everyone needs to go deeper, because only few end up this deep and beyond while not being incels or extremely autistic truth seekers. Schopenhauer. Arthur Schopenhauer, also known as the father of pessimism, has a perspective on women that soy boys, liberals, and women would call misogynistic and based people would call based. Not only does Schopenhauer believe that free will doesn't exist, but he also believes that women perpetually remain children their entire lives. Men and women are different. Yes guys, they're different. People in this tier reject egalitarian propaganda about men and women and understand that there are numerous biological, psychological, and evolutionary differences between the genders. Evolutionary psychology. The idea that men and women evolve different mating strategies because they have different biological imperatives. Attraction boils down to two things for both genders, which is survival and reproduction. But the things men look for in women are different to the things women look for in men. Women prioritize a man's survival value and have a hypergamous mating strategy where they want to lock down the best possible guy to ensure their offspring's safety and survival, whereas men typically want to spread their seed and value a woman's looks a lot more. Female romance novels. Romance novels that are geared towards women expose many things about the female fantasy. A man's fantasy usually falls along the lines of a loyal wife, 2 kids, and a nice house behind a white picket fence. The female fantasy is more dark and twisted. Many romance novels have the plot where the woman meets a broken man who's bad but changes for just her. Oh, and I forgot to mention that guy is usually a 6'3" billionaire. Celibacy/semen retention. Renouncing lust and committing to a path of celibacy either for spiritual reasons or because you've checked out of dating entirely. Chameleons. Women who adopt new identities, beliefs, hobbies, and personalities depending on the man they're attracted to. They're also known as shapeshifters. Modern women. The idea that social media has ruined modern women and that they do not compare to the honorable women of previous generations. These guys never blame women specifically, they blame modern women. I think this is a naive take because female nature is universal and women of the past would have done the exact same thing women today are doing if they were under the same circumstances. MGTOW. Men going their own way and completely abandoning dating. If this is you, you're either coping or you must have really been through some shit. Esther Villar. Author of the book The Manipulated Man, written in the 70s, and let's just say she had no nice things to say about women. So bad, in fact, that she makes Schopenhauer looks blue-pilled. And yes, you heard that right, she makes Arthur Schopenhauer look bad. She, because it's a woman. She claims that women have no moral compass, agency, or emotional depth, and simply view men as piggy banks and objects that they can exploit for their own gain. Dark Triad. The 3 dark triad traits are narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, and women are highly attracted to these traits in men. The darkness. Now we are approaching the end. This is the part of the iceberg that you will eventually discover if you lurk in the Manosphere long enough. This is the Grim Reaper that comes after all of us, but only few are strong enough to resist and return from the pits of despair intact. Black Pill. The idea that your looks, more specifically your face and height, are the main or only determining factors of not only your dating success, but every other conceivable thing that matters in your life. Wheat Waffles. The YouTube channel that popularized the black pill and almost brought it to the mainstream. I actually kinda missed that little ginger and I think he should come back to YouTube. Mewing. Sticking your tongue to the roof of your mouth for long periods of time marginally improves your facial forward growth. Yeah, honestly, this should not be this deep in the iceberg since every annoying teenager who's on TikTok knows about it, but since it's part of the black pill, might as well keep it here. Lookism. A hierarchy system centered around your looks. Lookism communities rate faces and tell people whether they have a chance with women or if they should just give up. Goatus. A guy who says you should eat raw meat and raw organs and not go to the gym because it unnecessarily ages you, and that money is fake. He's also very black-pilled and believes looks are everything. Looks match. Your looks equivalent and opposite sex form. Black pill theory states that most people end up in long-term relationships with their looks match, but women only settle for their looks match and use them as beta buxes and don't actually love them. Looks maxing. Improving your looks with specific techniques and methods. Sub 5. A guy who's below a 5 out of 10 on the look scale, aka below average. Black pillars believe these guys have it the most brutal in the dating scene and women hardly view them as human beings. Normies. Average looking men that don't particularly stand out as great looking but aren't hideous either. The black pill says this is where you start to become visible to women, but it's still not enough to experience real visceral attraction. Chads. Men who won the genetic lottery and always have modeling as a viable career path. The black pill says that these men have it the easiest in the dating market. To compare the difference between Chads, Normies, and sub 5s, here's how most black pillars would put it. Chad takes a step, Normie walks a mile, sub 5 crawls a lifetime. Brutal stuff. Neurotypical. Being normal. The black pill acknowledges that how you behave matters, but it says that game doesn't matter as long as you're not autistic and act normal. Geomaxing. The act of strategically locating to another country where the competition is weaker and specifically has more short, ugly men than tall, handsome men. This will make your comparative SMV in that country higher, helping you slay more chicks. An example of this is an average-looking white guy going to Thailand. How many times have we seen that before? Raw meat. The idea that eating raw meat, drinking raw milk, and consuming raw animal organs during development is what makes the difference between a Chad with well-developed bones and a sub 5 with a recessed face. Soft maxing. Looks maxing using only basic and natural solutions without any cosmetic procedures or surgeries. Mogging. The act of being better looking than the people in your vicinity. If you're here, it's safe to say you're too far gone. The concepts here are the absolute trenches of the black pill, and it doesn't get any darker than this. Juggernaut theory. The theory that unattractive and average women actually receive far more attention than attractive women. This rigs the playing field heavily towards women because it inflates their egos and puts them on their highest setting. This makes it so much harder for guys on their level to actually compete. The theory posits that women, no matter how attractive they are, can never truly be incels because there will always be some type of demand for them. A femcel is simply a voluntary celibate waiting for Chad. She's not a real femcel. True cells. Many incels are actually just lazy and don't want to improve their looks and status or be social, but those are not real incels. True cells, on the other hand, are genuine incels who have tried but failed. Genuinely nothing has worked for them. True cells make up a very small percentage of the population because most people find some type of long-term relationship, situationship, or hookup at some point in their lives. True cells never do. Hard maxing. Doing surgical procedures or resorting to pharmaceuticals to improve your looks. Some people believe this is the only way to truly ascend and improve your looks to a life-changing degree. Others believe that surgeries will never fill the void in an unattractive man's soul. Brutal stuff. JBW. This stands for Just Be White and posits that white men have it significantly easier than men of other races in the dating market. Rehab Room. A YouTuber all guys in this tier end up finding. Inkwell. A funny way of saying incel. It's over. The idea that there's nothing left you can do. You've exercised all your possible options like self-improvement, geomaxing, looks maxing, and taken all the advice in the world, but it's still not enough because of your genetic base. It never began. The idea that your life was decided from the first trimester of your conception. If you don't get lucky with good genetics, don't cry because it's over, smile because it never began. Some people in this tier have faith that skull transplants will be a thing in the future because they're convinced that's the only hope they have. PSL. A term used to describe the attractiveness ranges of men with a specific scale. If you are below a 4 in PSL, it never began. The genetic elite at the top of the PSL scale are called PSL gods. Oofy doofy. A term used to describe your run-of-the-mill average guys. Not pickup artists, not chads, not incels either. Just your typical blue pill normie. Average guys who end up in average relationships, average jobs, and eventually average marriages. People in this tier believe these guys have it the worst because they need to jester max, which means be a clown, and beta bucks, which means be a simp and throw money at her, to barely keep her in the relationship because she does not respect him, nor does she have genuine desire for him, and would cheat with Chad in an instant if she could. Arguably the most brutal one in this tier. Dog pill. The idea that women would rather commit bestiality than sleep with unattractive men. Manlit. A short man who copes by getting muscles. Sub-8 theory. Also known as Chad or nothing theory, is the idea that men who are not at least an 8 out of 10 in the look scale will never get genuine desire from women and have little to no sexual or romantic success. By the way, 8s are exceptionally rare and are like less than 1% of the population. This is what an 8 or above looks like. Genetic determinism. The final boss of this tier, and it argues that everything in your life, not just your looks, but even things like your thought patterns, your personality, and the opportunities that come to you in life are predetermined since birth. You really have no free will or say in anything that happens to you in your life, your genetics do. And sadly, you don't control your genetics. If you made it this far and you haven't roped yet, you either will in this tier or you will have a newfound perspective on life that liberates you from all the black pill garbage we went through in the previous tiers. Rope maxing. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. It's all cope. The idea that everyone is coping with their existence anyways, and Chad is not exempt because he's also bound by suffering and other dark sides of being a human being. So we might as well all cope in peace and do whatever we want anyways, since it doesn't really matter. Reincarnating into Chad. The idea that by doing good in this life and enduring your sub-5 existence, you will be rewarded by reincarnating into Chad in another life. I gotta say, man, I'm trying my best to be serious throughout this video, but this is some next level shit. White pill. A newfound acceptance of the black pill in a way that frees and liberates you. No need to suffer any longer and cling to the pain of reality. Why not accept it? Be hopeful and optimistic in spite of a black pill reality. Nietzsche. Nietzsche rejected Schopenhauer's black-pilled, pessimistic worldview and insisted on embracing the suffering of the world and creating your own meaning despite the harsh reality of life. Nietzsche was, in a lot of ways, white-pilled. Blue pill is true, we're just autistic. What if I told you that the deeper you go down this iceberg, the more detached from reality and schizo you actually are? What if the guys in the first 2 tiers had it right all along and everyone else is an autistic overthinker? All is mind. The idea that the entire world is not materialistic, but rather a product of your own mind. Consciousness shapes reality. The idea that your consciousness and thoughts shape the reality in front of you. It empowers one to think that they have influence and control over this malleable reality, and that genetic determinism is false. AI will replace women. The hope that none of this dating stuff matters anyways, because soon AI with their artificial wombs will replace real women, because AI is not hypergamous, they can be customized exactly to your liking, and they will love you unconditionally for the rest of your life. In the end, inkwells win and women lose. Anyways, that's been the end of the iceberg, man. I hope you enjoyed this deep journey down the manosphere rabbit hole. I'll see you guys in the next video.